Hello. So speaking in front of a camera is outside of my comfort zone. It makes me quite anxious. I was considering recording this like as a live, but mm-mm, my nervous system can't handle that. I feel like part of my intention with taking the time to record myself is simply for the experience of allowing myself to be witnessed. Because I feel like one of the ways that I feel safest being witnessed is non-verbally. I wanted to, I've been feeling some things, and I felt like one of the ways that I wanted to process that and share it was through, I guess, what I like to call stream of consciousness body writing, which is expressing myself with my body, allowing myself to be seen with my body and being witnessed in that way. Um, and I feel like that's a huge need of mine, but I've been noticing like a hunger to be witnessed in other ways. Because a lot of what I'm learning about the power of witnessing is not only how healing it is, and I would argue that this is an aspect of healing, but I feel like I like to go beyond healing and into transformation and transformation processes. And I feel, and I'm learning that a lot of times our transformation, in order to feel real, for us to realize our own transformation, it needs to be witnessed by others, and not just witnessed by others, but reflected by others, which is part of the magic of being in a community, and having a group of people who are there to bear witness to one another. Um, I think that something that I've been feeling for myself is a desire for my transformation to be witnessed. And that's not going to happen through this video. That's not what I'm looking for. I think I just wanted to name that because I'm curious about, for those of you who feel that you've been going through a deep transformation process, do you feel a need to be witnessed? And what does being witnessed mean to you? I guess that's just one aspect of what I wanted to say. I'm not sure how it connects to the next piece I wanted to talk about, but I'm gonna just trust it. Um, mm, Actually, it does connect. So I feel like part of the comfort that I feel in being perceived non-verbally as a dancer and mover comes from my background of feeling like it's not safe to use my voice, and that it's not safe for me to express myself verbally in an emotional way, because of the consequences of that. Not just the consequences, although this is a consequence, but just feeling misunderstood and unheard, kind of chronically throughout my development. And I know that's not an experience that I'm alone in. I'm sure a lot of you um, can relate to that. But of course, that plays out differently for all of us. For some, it's not safe to express ourselves non-verbally. For a lot of people, coming into the body and expressing oneself with the body is not safe because we all have different perceptions and understandings of what safety means in our bodies. Something that I've been feeling as I've been entering this field, and also have participated in organizing events, and more importantly, how this has come forth and presented itself in my interpersonal relationships, and close relationships is just that I feel like the narrative around somatic work is based so much on pleasure. Absolutely, pleasure is a huge resource. Being able to find nervous system resourcing in a stretch that brings relief and pleasure, and recognizing, oh my God, like I can feel pleasure in my body. I had not felt pleasure in a long time in my body. That's a part of the work. But then there's this other piece that also feels incredibly tender. And that's the fact that in the marketing of somatic work, we need to move beyond pleasure, because while pleasure is a resource, we need to remember that working with the body is not just movement, art, and pleasure. And I think that these are all elements that, of course, appeal to us. Like, we want to feel pleasure, we want to be immersed in movement artistry and learn to move. And all of that is fantastic. But I think that we're really doing a disservice to the work by not also marketing, if you can call that marketing, the fact that somatic work is incredibly uncomfortable and it's far from glamorous. And sometimes it's something that you can only access little pieces at a time. When you're in a body, and we're all in bodies, starting to become aware of your senses and this system that's so full of subtle and not so subtle messages can actually be really, really overwhelming. It's not just a process of feeling like you're coming alive and becoming more vibrant, which is what happens along the way, but it's actually also a process of noticing parts of your body that feel like they're dying, that feel like they are in great pain, that feel like they have been dormant and dead for possibly years, possibly as long as we can remember. And I say some of this because I think it's all part of the development process. But when I began to do somatic work for myself, I was very focused on pleasure. And I do think that that initially gave me the tools and practice that I needed to start connecting with my body in a way that I never had, perhaps since I was a child. I had an eating disorder throughout all of my adolescence and up until like my mid 20s. So my history is dissociation from my body and cutting off connection to my body. So for me, starting to redevelop a sense of pleasure with this physical vessel, that was my way in. But I was bypassing a lot of the trauma that was underneath that very that very intelligent dissociation that served me throughout a huge portion of my life where I was keeping myself safe that way. But that's as far as I'll go into like some of my personal experience with that. But I feel like lately actually this is personal. I mean, all I can share is personal. Like I'm not trying to teach anyone anything here. I'm just sharing this to be witnessed. And hopefully it resonates with somebody and initiates some cool conversations. Like, please know you're welcome to write to me. I'd love to talk. But I feel like my work now has been so not about pleasure. It's actually been about allowing myself to drop into the pain and the grief. Oh, the grief. The grief. And not just allowing that grief to sequence through my body because that's ideally what I would like to do, but actually being with and accepting that some of that grief, some of that trauma is not ready to sequence through my body. And thus, my work with myself is holding space for those areas where that emotion is stuck and it's uncomfortable and it's ugly. And I start to make this movement because something that has been arising very recently, in this process of realizing too that a lot of this desire that I feel to be witnessed by others is also a reflection of me desiring to be witnessed by myself. And as I, Karina, hold more space for Karina and her pain and her discomfort and her anxiety and her grief to be witnessed, I feel this sense of love and acceptance blossoming from my heart space. And it's been incredibly, like I said, uncomfortable. I want to normalize that this work is really, really uncomfortable. And the human nervous system response is to run away. That's survival. It makes a lot of sense. But yesterday, um, I I'm gonna grab this really quick. Yesterday in practice, I something happened. When I say something happened, I mean because I'm still working on identifying exactly what, but I really allowed myself to experience in my body feelings of grief mixed with love that I had never allowed myself to experience before because these feelings are big. In fact, they're huge. I would even say that love and grief in their pure form obviously are interrelated, interconnected. But they're also limitless. I mean, love is limitless. Yesterday, according to the Cholquij, which is the sacred Maya calendar, we were in the energy of Sikin, which rules the heart space. And yesterday, as I allowed myself to feel this grief and pain and love and acceptance towards not just myself, but also other. Mm. I felt this sensation of my heart blossoming and expanding inside of my thoracic cage like this. And it's actually beautiful because I noticed today this heart that was given to me as a gift. It came from a friend, Maida's store, which I will tag in this video. But this is how I felt my heart blossoming and expanding yesterday. And it was so beautiful. I would even say it was pleasurable. And I started to cry, and I had a really beautiful release. And hmm, and I think for me, that was a sign, honestly, from energies that felt far beyond me, because I was also in that moment intentionally connecting to the energy of Sikin. Hmm. Just really reminding me of how far I am coming along in my own personal healing and transformation process. And it's hard for me to say that because a part of me is like, ew, like, why are you saying that about yourself? Like, but that's part of being witnessed. Like, we're allowed to be proud of ourselves for our own transformation and our own healing. And I guess to just close this out, um, yeah, that was a really positive and just a very loving experience. And that being said, I do feel like we need to take out some of the sexiness and pleasurableness of somatic work because although these are the magical moments that happen when you are doing the work, I think that we also shouldn't go into this work expecting it to be fun, although many times it can be fun. And actually, many times it can be really playful because play is so transformative as well. But a lot of times to have these moments of heart expansiveness and really start seeing genuine shifts in your relationship with yourself and with others. It just also really sucks sometimes. So, yeah, I just want y'all, if you're going through the suck, and I think we're all going through the suck, not just because of like our own individual processes, but just fuck, look at what's happening in our fucking world. Like, how How can we feel anything but grief and shittiness? But I just want to let you know you're not alone. There are people here holding you. I hope that we can all hold each other with more intention, and have a lot of compassion for ourselves and for each other. Okay, that's it. Um, thank you for holding space to do a little bit of witnessing for me as I speak, as I share, and mucho amor. Mwah.